Thanks to NPM, we now have all the files that we need for data tables with Bootstrap support on the local file system. However, I do want to point out, if you come into the Solution Explorer in Visual Studio, you won't be able to find the node_modules folder here. That's because Visual Studio will hide that folder by default. It considers it sort of an infrastructure folder, kind of like the bin folder and the OBJ folder. It's full of files that can be recreated using an npm install, just like you can recreate the OBJ folder by doing a build in Visual Studio. So Visual Studio doesn't show node modules by default, but it can be useful to have that folder in your Solution Explorer. And one way to have that folder appear is to come up here in the action bar for Solution Explorer and click on the icon that will show all files. Now I can see these hidden folders like the OBJ folder and node_modules. And one of the reasons why I want to make this folder visible is because it provides an easy drag and drop approach to adding the links that I need into my HTML markup. So if I want to add links to serve up data tables during development time, what I can do is go into the datatables.net folder inside of node_modules, find the JS folder, and this is going to be the unminified core version of data tables. So if I take that file and drag it over here, I now have a script whose source is set to node_modules datatables.net/js, and it's jQuery.datatables.js. Perfect. Now again, we cannot serve files from the node modules folder by default in ASP.NET Core, but I'll show you in the next clip how to get around that limitation. I'm also going to open up the datatables.net-bs folder, which is the Bootstrap support for data tables, and I need two files from here. First of all, there's the CSS file. I'll take the unminified version and drop it into my page. That gives me a link for the CSS file. I also need the JavaScript file, which is datatables.bootstrap. I want to add that after the core JS file and after jQuery, but the layout page will take care of that for me. The scripts section comes after the jQuery script reference, but I'm going to drag datatables.bootstrap.js over, and I now have the two scripts and the one CSS file included for my development environment. They're going to be coming from the node modules folder. Now, if I want to make this a little more permanent, I can right-click on node_modules and say, please include this folder in my project. That means even when I do not have show all files selected, this folder is going to appear. And sometimes this also helps Visual Studio when it's trying to provide IntelliSense for JavaScript and CSS files that you're using from the node modules folder. So if you want IntelliSense for data tables and for the Bootstrap functionality and anything else that you've npm installed, just right-click node modules and add it to the project. Now at this point, I do want to point out our files are a bit scattered around on the file system. The file new project template for .NET Core placed jQuery and Bootstrap into folders in the www root folder. I'm now using npm and installing additional script files and CSS files into node_modules. If this was a proper project that I was working on for a team, I would want to clean things up, and I would want to switch everything over to using npm. So I would delete libraries and CSS frameworks from the www root folder, and instead I would npm install jQuery and save it as a dependency, and npm install Bootstrap and save it as a dependency, and use npm to manage all the client assets that I use inside of this application instead of having some in www root and some in node modules. I'll clean that up after I'm finished recording this module. So if you want to try it on your own and compare the results, you can do that. But right now, let's just see if we can get the application working in a development environment and see if we can get data about our restaurants on the page inside of a data table.